Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma LaFave, and today we're going to be painting some cute watercolor fall nature illustrations. So let's jump right in and start. Okay, so today we are going to be doing some fun fall illustrations. I'm going to be focusing more on nature fall illustrations for this. I've done one in the past of like my favorite fall things, like pumpkin spice lattes and all that stuff. I can link that video below as well, but today we're going to be focusing on more nature fall kind of stuff. And I kind of want to stick to a color palette of oranges and reds and browns. So I'm just going to swatch a bunch of colors that I have just to kind of give me an idea of what direction I want to go in. So I have Windsor Red, cadmium orange, maybe some yellow ochres. And we're going to be doing a bunch of leaves, some pumpkins, acorns, maybe some mushrooms. And I don't know. I love this color, brown matter. It's really beautiful. It's very fall and rustic-like. Let me see. This one, Perline Maroon, maybe. Just some beautiful fall colors. And then I might even add like a little bit of green in there, just for a pop of a different color. But I want to stick to a color palette kind of like this, of nature fall things. So I'm just going to throw that up there. You guys can still see it. And we're going to jump right in. Okay, so if you would like to sketch it out with your pencil first, you can. I'm not going to do that for this, I don't think. I'm going to do it mostly with my paintbrush, but we'll kind of just, see as we move along. Okay, so the first thing I want to do a traditional maple leaf. Here, I'm in Niagara in Ontario, Canada. They are just so beautiful when they start turning, and leaves have already started turning. So I want to start off with a maple leaf. I'm going to just get a light wash of my orange to sketch it out instead of a pencil. And this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do a long line this way, and this is going to go into the stem. Okay, and then I'm going to have two this way, and then they're going to be shorter than that initial long line. Okay, and like I said, you can sketch this out with your pencil first if you would prefer. And then I'm going to do one across, a little bit shorter. All right, I'm just going to grab a little bit more of my light wash, and we're going to do a point at the top here and like two other kind of points, maybe even a couple other points. No maple leaf that you see is necessarily perfect. It has a couple other points, and then you're going to scoop down that way, scoop down this way. Okay, and then you're going to do some more jagged kind of points on this side. Maybe I'll do another point like right there. Okay, and then you're going to scoop down again, and then just kind of point. And just kind of connect it around. Like that. Like so. Okay, you're just scooping around those points, or those lines, creating these like jagged kind of points and scoops to get a maple leaf. Like so. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, as you can see. Now I'm going to take this light wash of orange, and I'm just going to fill it in, because we're going to start dropping some other color. You can just do it with clean water if you want, or tinted water. I'm doing it with a light wash of orange because it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to be dropping in some reds, some browns, some oranges. And this is just easier for you guys to see on camera where I'm placing it. But ideally what you want to do for this is make it all wet, so we can do some wet on wet effects for our leaves. And I find this is, sorry, excuse me. This is one of my favorite parts of doing leaves, is using the wet on wet watercolor effect, because you get the best blends that way from one color to the next. And when the leaves are changing, I just find it makes it look so realistic and natural, the way you get these blends when you do the wet on wet technique. Okay. So there, it's all wet. If you find any parts are drying, you can just go over it with your brush and just re-wet it. Okay, now I'm going to take some Windsor Red and I'm just going to start dropping it in. Okay, and let the wet on wet do its thing. You can move some of the color around. And when you're doing wet on wet, you don't want it to be pooling in any areas or else the color's not going to move. There's a little bit more watercolor here than I'd like, but that's okay. I'm just moving it around. Okay, I'm gonna grab some orange, throw it in there. You're gonna get these nice blends from one color to the next. Just gonna work on my outline a bit more. Okay, you can have some lighter areas. Okay, I'm gonna grab some burnt umber. And I like to put some of the brown kind of like where those scoops are, where they meet. It just makes it look like it's starting to turn from red to brown, and I really like that. You can grab some darker red. I'm just going to grab some Perlene Maroon and just dab that in there. And we can do some veins on it after. Okay, but I'm leaving some areas a bit lighter, some a bit darker. And there you go. And then I'm just going to make sure that this stem is pretty dark red, because when they turn to red, they get pretty dark. And there is our first leaf. Love doing it. We're going to do some more leaves too, but we're going to try and do some other naturey kind of things as well. Okay, so now let's do, I feel like we should do some mushrooms. I didn't realize mushrooms were like a very fallish thing until I started seeing illustrations of them everywhere, and they are quite fun to do. So I'm going to start off with the stem with a light wash of burnt umber. And it can be kind of wiggly. It doesn't have to be like perfectly straight or anything. And I'm gonna do like a dome shape like this. Okay. Then I'm gonna have it curve up over the stem like so. And there's one. Then I'm gonna do another one. And you don't want the stem to touch the dome, the top of the mushroom. I'm going to do maybe a taller one. I'm just going to go around this one. I don't want it to touch necessarily right now. Just leave a little bit of white space. This one's going to be a bit taller and thinner. And I'm going to do a different kind of dome shape. I'm actually going to move this. And if you find yourself working in a hot room, it's like hot and things are drying fast, work on one mushroom at a time. We're going to go back in and add some, drop in some color. So if yours dries fast, start dropping in some of the color sooner. Just going to have it curve down a bit. And we're leaving that white space because we're going to see the inside of it later. So let's just start dropping in color. I'm going to grab some of my brown matter. You can mix burnt umber with your red, and that will kind of create the same color. I'm just going to create some brown matter. It's like this reddish brown color, dropping it in. Then I'm going to grab some darker brown and drop it in there too. You can do little dots like so. I think I'm going to do another mushroom as well. I just wanted to get those colors in there before it happened. Let's do another little mushroom right here. I'm going to do a little dome shape. Grab our brown matter color, drop it in. Grab some dark brown. I think it's sepia that's in my palette. You can do some dots like so. Okay, and then we're going to let that dry because we're going to come back and just do a little bit more detail. Okay, now let's do some Let's do like another little leaf over here just to kind of balance it out. I'm going to grab some yellow ochre and I'm just going to do a little leaf like this, kind of like a teardrop shape. Okay, and I'm just going to grab a little bit more color, tap it in there, and maybe a little bit of burnt umber as well. And I'm just going to leave it. Actually, do I want to do like, I'm going to do like a jagged edge. Just fill that in. Just doing little points. Like that. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry. Okay, let's do some, I'm going to do like a little acorn here. I might spread them out different areas. So I'm just going to take some burnt umber and I'm going to do like a U shape. I'm going to make it a light wash like that, and then we'll do like a U shape and then connect it at the top with a little bit of a curve. I'm going to grab a bit more burnt umber, just tap it on one side for a bit more shadow, maybe a little bit along the top, and then a little knob down here, a little point. Okay, and then I'm going to leave that to dry because I'm going to do the top after. Okay, actually let's do another one up here just to kind of balance it out. That, and then a little bit more brown. I'm going to do the brown on this side, like so. Okay, and we're going to let that dry and we'll do the tops after. Okay, let's do a pumpkin. We're going to do a pumpkin here. I'm going to keep it the same kind of orangey, reddish browny theme. I'm going to grab some cadmium orange. I'm going to mix it with a bit of burnt umber to get more of like a rusted color pumpkin. And I'm going to do, pumpkins are actually quite easy. I love doing pumpkins. One of my favorite things to paint in the fall. You're going to start off with an oval. We can actually start off with a lighter wash. So I'm just going to make it a bit lighter. Okay, and pumpkins come in all shapes and sizes, so you can make it kind of wonky and lumpy and just have fun with it. Now I'm going to do a C curve. It's going to go just a little bit above, a C curve on this side, and it's going to stop just a little bit above the bottom here. I'm going to go back and we're going to leave a little bit of white space in between. It can touch in certain areas, but try and leave a bit of a white line there. Then we're going to do a backward C on this side. Then we're going to do two more. Again, coming up further on top and then stopping further up. Okay, like that. And like this. All right. Now I'm just going to make sure the whole thing is still wet. So I'm just going to go over it with a bit of water, bit of color, because we're going to drop in some darker color. So I'm just going to grab more of my orange, more burnt umber, and I'm just going to tap it in the tops, and maybe a bit around the sides and the bottom, like that. Okay. And then we're just going to grab our dark brown and do our stem here. It can bleed in a little bit to the top two of the pumpkin if you like. Okay, so there's one pumpkin. I think I'm going to do another one just for fun. Let's make it, should we do the same color? I'm thinking I'm going to make it a bit more of like that whitish gray color. So maybe just like a light brownish gray. So I'm just taking a light wash of brown, a little bit of gray, so a light color of black, and I'm just going to make our little oval here. Backwards C on this side. And then on this side, it's going to be behind this pumpkin, so I'm just going to kind of go around it. You're not going to see too much of that side. And then one more on this side. It's like one of those white pumpkins. I'm just going to lift up some color in the middle here, so it's a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to go back in with a bit more gray. Top to the bottom, around. That and like that. Maybe a bit of brown. You could do little dots. A little bit more depth or darkness on the bottom. Maybe even here too, a little bit of darkness. I'm going to grab my brown, my dark brown, do my little, stem is what I'm trying to say. And there are some pumpkins. Okay. I wonder, should I add some, I'm going to add a little bit of green. I'm going to take some Perling green and just do a light wash and then just do a couple little swirly vines coming from it and like maybe some leaves. Just really light, nothing too crazy. Just add a little bit of green into that illustration there. Like that. We might go back in. Should I do it here? I'm just going to add a little bit of darkness to some of the leaves while they're still wet. Like that. Okay, so there's our pumpkins. And now we're going to do, I'm going to do a pine cone. Pine cone and then another big leaf down here, I think. I think that's where we're going with this. Maybe a bird. Should we do a bird? Let's do a bird here. I'm going to do like a robin, so it's kind of like the same kind of fallish colored vibes. So usually I sketch them out. I'm going to do it with my brush, and then I'm going to show you how I kind of do it. Which way should it face? I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so the head is a circle, so I just have a really light wash. And then I do another kind of like longer oval. Okay, I would usually do this with my pencil, but I'm just going to do it with my brush. And then I'm just going to go around this and connect them. So I'll go around the head, around the oval. Actually, this oval should be bigger. Okay, so it slightly comes out at the breast here. And then it just goes straight down the back and just keep going straight. I do have a tutorial somewhere on this. Okay, now I'm just going to fill it in. You can still kind of see the shape, but that's okay because we're going to add some color in there. I'm going to drop in some color. Okay. I'm just going to do this little feathery tail here. Okay, so now I'm going to take some orange, some cadmium orange, and I'm just going to drop it in at the breastbone here. Then a little bit of red, just a little bit of red, like so. Okay, then I'm going to grab some burnt umber and go along the back. Top of the head and the back. It's going to help it move along just a little bit. A bit more. Like that. I'm going to add a little bit of gray, oops, to the bottom here. If you don't have gray, just do a really light wash of black. Like that. Then I'm going to grab some even darker brown. If you don't have darker brown, you can always mix your whatever brown you have with a bit of black. And I'm going to go along the back and a bit on the top of the head. And then I'm just going to do kind of like these feathery things. You know, like so, like there's wings there, like that. Okay, and I'm going to take my dark brown again, and I'm just going to do cute little legs and little feet like that, and then I'm going to do a beak with my dark brown, like so. Okay, and there's my bird. I feel like the bird could have used a bigger chest. I feel like I didn't do that as well. I'm going to add a bit more water. This is how you can fix things if you want to. I'm just going to go over top of the whole thing with water, and I'm just going to bring this chest out a bit more so it's a bit rounded. There we go. I'm going to lift up some of this color at the bottom here because I wanted it more lighter on the white side, like grayish side. Add some clean water down there. Grab my gray. Drop it. And then grab my orange again. And bring it over here. There. I like that shape a bit better. There. That looks a bit better. Okay. So there's our robin. I'm just going to leave that to dry, and then we can do a bit more detail on that. And then let's do another big like oak leaf here. So I'm going to do like a yellow. So I'm going to take yellow ochre, maybe a little bit of cadmium yellow. Excuse me. And I'm just going to start with one big line. It's kind of curved. And we're just going to go around like this. And then we're just going to do these kind of like curves like so. And they don't have to be symmetrical at all. And then they're going to kind of meet down here like so. Okay? And we're just going to fill it in with our yellow ochre color. You can do a light wash because we can fill it in with a bit darker, like browns and stuff after. Just taking some more water. Like that. Now I'm going to take yellow ochre. I'm going to go around. Like that. I'm going to grab maybe even like a little bit of green, like because it was green before, just like it started turning. Just tap a little bit of green in there. It's pretty watery down here, so I'm just moving the water around. Like that. Like it just started, just finishing turning yellow. Okay. Then I'm going to grab some burnt umber and just kind of place it in the little grooves here. The tip a bit. Like that, and then maybe like that. Okay. All right, there's our oak leaf. We're gonna do the veins again, like I said, after it's dry. And I'm wondering if I should put, I'm gonna do another acorn over here just to fill this little spot. A little boop. Brown on one side. Like so. Okay. Now we can start adding a bit more detail. Actually, I wonder if I should do one more leaf down here. I'm going to do one more leaf. Just one more. I feel like I need a bit more red down here. We're going to do, what kind of leaf? Ooh, let's do like a stick with berries. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm just taking some brown, some burnt umber, And I'm going to use the tip of my brush, really light pressure. Just do a stick, and then it's going to kind of come out this way. I'm just going to do some little branches kind of coming out. Okay. Then I'm going to take some orangish red, a lighter wash, and I'm just going to do these berries. Like so. And then I'm going to take some darker red and just kind of tap it around one side. Like that. Maybe a little bit of brown, just to darken it a little bit further. Like that, and then a little kind of line on top, just like it's the top part of the berry. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of green, do some small green leaves. I'm going to actually take some olive green, I think. And I'm just going to do a little stem and then like leaves kind of coming off like that. Just using the tip of my brush to do this. I don't know what I'm saying, guys. Okay. Just tiny little leaves. What kind of berries are these? No idea, but they look cute. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we can go back in and add some detail. I'm going to start with these acorns, I think. I'm going to take my darker brown. I'm just going to create like a little hat for it. Make sure that they're dry so it's not bleeding into the bottom. Like that. That's it. Maybe it kind of comes around. Like that. That's still a little wet, so I'm going to leave that one. Okay, and then our mushrooms, I'm going to take some burnt umber, and I'm just going to go around behind the stem like this. And then you're going to do some lines coming from the top of the stem to the outer parts of this line right here. And they're just going to go around the mushroom like this. Like that. Okay. Like that. And then if you want to just add a little bit more darkness to one side of the mushroom, just kind of like scribbly patterns. I might even dry off my brush a bit and just kind of do a bit of dry brush on the stem. So my brush is dry. I'm just going back in the color just to get a little bit of texture on my brush. Just breaking up those bristles. Get a little bit of texture on there. Might even get some green and just do maybe a little bit of grass or something. Like that. I might even actually, this would be casting a bit of a shadow, this one on here, so I'm just going to do a bit of a shadow on here. Just going to blend that out, just add a little bit of darkness and then blend it out. We don't need to create too much detail for this. Might do a bit of darkness on one side. Wash and dry off your brush and then just blend it out. And do it on this side. Wash off your brush, dry it. A little bit more darkness up here. Like that, and then here on this side, wash off your brush, dry it, blend it out. There we go. And if you wanted to, you could do, like these aren't the reddish top mushrooms, but you could do some dots. Why not? Not everything has to be accurate and realistic all the time. Like that, just for a little bit more texture. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little bit more to this pumpkin here. I'm just going to take a little bit of orange and I'm just going to kind of create some scribbly marks towards the bottom for a bit of shadow. Maybe a bit of brown. I don't have too much paint on my brush. I'm just kind of scrubbing this color just to make it stand out a little bit. Actually, no, I need the brownish, grayish color for this. A bit more. Wash off my brush, just kind of blend it out a bit. Okay. Just a little bit of something. And I was thinking of doing like a little bit of a shadow underneath these pumpkins. I'm just going to grab a little bit of neutral tint and just go underneath like this. And then kind of blend it out like it's sitting on the ground. Grab a little bit more. Neutral tint is like a grayish color. So you could just use a light wash of black if that's what you have. Just washing off my brush and then kind of blending it out. Same with this one. I'm going to use like a little bit of black, I think. Just a light wash of black. Just so it looks like it's sitting on the ground. And they're not just floating. Like that. Okay, there we go. And then, okay, I'm gonna grab my smaller size 2 brush now. And I'm going to do some veins on these leaves. I'm just going to grab my brown and mix it with a bit of red. Get a dark red. Okay. And I'm just going to carefully draw some veins. Like this. Like that. Veins for that one. Let's do kind of yellowish brown for our leaf over here. Like that. I'm going to do the top of this Acorn here. Like so. And I think I might do a little bit of a pattern on the top of the acorn, just like some lines, because they do have a bit of a pattern. So I'm just taking some of that dark brown again, just like that. Like that. Could wait for this one to dry to do it, but it's fine. Like that. And then lastly, we just got to make sure this is dry and this is dry. For our bird, we can just do a little eye like that. Sharpen up the beak a little bit if we wanted to. You can just do some scoops for some feather shapes. I might even grab a little bit of my white. So I'm using Dr. Peach Martin's Bleed Proof White. This is just my favorite white ink. Might do a little bit of white here for the eye. Nope, I need to let that dry first. We'll try again in a second. Just a little bit of white here. Maybe some white fluff down here. I'll do the dark part after, I guess. Like that. And lastly is just this oak leaf. Making sure that it is nice and dry. Getting some brown. Nice thin vein there. Like that. And there you go. There is our awesome little illustrations for fall. I love how that turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.